To me, faith is, it's really like the air I breathe. It's the light that illuminates all of my life. I think faith, for me, as it has deepened in my life and matured, has become just that. It's the lens through which I look at the world, and means everything to me. It is that which determines the way I look upon the world and understand the world, and in light of God's love that I've experienced in Christ, that has come to me as an experience through His church. In a certain sense, it's the very air I breathe. It's like the sunlight that illumines every day. It's hard for me to conceive of what my life would be like, what my relationships would be like without the gift of faith. I'm so grateful for the gift of faith. And so what does faith mean to me? It means everything. It's a tremendous gift, a gift for which I'm profoundly grateful. To put my trust in the Lord, to trust in God's providence, that the Lord truly loves me, and to have confidence that He is with me, that Christ, who is alive, who has conquered death, and who lives for me, lives for the world He suffered and died to redeem. So it's learning to trust less in myself and more in God. I can't say that I ever had a great profound conversion in my life. Faith was more like something that, like a seed sown quietly, silently, in a very hidden way that has deepened and grown and matured through the years. And please God has borne some fruit, and please God will continue to bear fruit. Certainly there have been moments of conversion and metanoia and change in my life brought on by various circumstances. But my journey of faith, I would say, has been, for the most part, not so dramatic, but quite ordinary. And I suspect that's the way most people live their faith and have grown in their faith. Growing up as I did in a Catholic home, a Catholic family, when I was a boy, when I was an adolescent, periodically my parents would bring up the question, Paul, have you ever thought about becoming a priest? And for me that was always a real conversation stopper, because in fact it was not something that I was thinking about as a child or as a teen. But the very fact that my parents asked the question in time became a great consolation, because I knew that they valued the priesthood, that if I or my brother were to be called to the priesthood, it would be something that they would be very proud of. So knowing that I had my parents' and family's support was a great comfort and encouragement. It was many years later, really in college, that I really first began to think about priesthood. And it was really in the aftermath of a rather tragic situation where two of my classmates from the University of Kansas drowned during a semester abroad in Ireland. It was an experience for me, as for many of my friends, that brought me face to face with my own mortality, and challenged me, demanded, in fact, that I really think about the ultimate questions in life. I was 4,000 or 5,000 miles from home and had no place to turn in such a difficult time. And so what I ended up doing was going to the local rectory on this little island on the west coast of Ireland, and speaking with a young priest who was the pastor of St. Colman's Parish on Inishbofin, Father Martin O'Connor, seeking comfort, seeking answer to questions, seeking guidance. And I ended up spending several evenings with Father O'Connor. I was 20 years old. And I think those evenings with him, in my grief, in my confusion, was one of the more significant influences in really giving me a model and an example that I truly could relate to of what it means when we call a priest father. He modeled for me priesthood at a time that I really needed such a model. And it was really within a year or two after that that the Lord finally kind of broke through my own resistance and stubbornness and really began to stir in my heart a nagging question, is the Lord perhaps calling me to be a priest? I think the influence of my family from those early years, showing their support and appreciation of the priesthood, and that particular example of priesthood from Father O'Connor that I had at a very vulnerable time as a young man in Ireland, far from home, were very significant influences. There were many others, but those were some of the more significant influences that really enabled me ultimately to respond to the Lord's call. And when I did respond, I really couldn't see my way to ordination, but I just had a sense that the Lord may be calling me, and I had a sense that he was at least calling me to seminary, that I needed to go and to discern, continue to discern, and to explore that possibility. And it was during those years of seminary formation that the seed that had been sown really began to mature and deepen. And year by year, my confidence that the Lord was calling me to priesthood grew. Lo and behold, in 1983, I was ordained a priest for the Diocese of Wichita.